Hey everyone, welcome back! This is my 21-week bump date. So welcome back to my channel. Today is all about little Connor turning 21 weeks old in the womb and just all the major milestones of this week. Had a lot of time to digest and make a plan and set in stone kind of stuff we can do to help prepare for little Connor and his foot. So, I feel a lot better and I've done a lot of research. And we've got a good plan set in place. Now it's just meeting with the doctors, and I've done my additional research and I'm proposing different plans that may not have ever been done in this area. So I'm excited that he could pioneer a new treatment. I'm never satisfied with just the status quo, just the A-OK, tried and true, easy method, just because the doctors like it and it's successful. Which, in definition, that's kind of what you want for your child, but I want to push the boundaries, and there's always room for improvement, and that's how medicine works, and we will never reach that if we never step out of our comfort zones a tiny bit safely. So I'm willing to do that, especially since Connor's foot's not severe. So we'll see. I'll go more into detail another time of what I'm exactly talking about, the methods of treatment, but I'm excited and hopeful because that's just the engineer in me. I'm not just going to do what's run-of-the-mill procedure. That's silly. Always question. That's how you learn and improve. So excited to be talking to you guys today and just giving updates and feeling little Connor grow and grow. My biggest new craving is mayonnaise and bologna sandwich with regular chips on it, plain Ruffles, just laid on top in the sandwich, and then to drink that with a glass of milk. I thought about dipping it in the glass of chocolate milk. I thought about dipping that in the chocolate milk, but I was like, that's kind of gross. Why don't I just drink it while I eat it? So, same thing without a little bit of gross factor there. So we also, with Connor's foot, announced, kind of what's going on to Instagram and of course the family, and had a surprisingly outpouring of love and support from family and friends, and I wasn't really expecting that, and no one said anything insensitive or wrong, so I was quite pleased and impressed with how everyone handled it, and no one downplayed it, and I know, keeping things in perspective, there's so many more serious things that could go wrong, and like I said in the last video, this is not a superficial issue. This is a lifelong concern for his well-being and pain. But yeah, like I said, there's so many more things that could be going wrong, and no one minimized my feelings or even really brought that up. So I was really proud and happy about that, because no one wants to hear something's wrong with their child, small or big, especially big. But I'm just very grateful, and I know God's chosen Connor exactly for us, but that's the update for that. So here's my bump date for this past week, 21 weeks. Yes, that is an eggplant I'm holding. Everyone still says I'm not really showing. I'll send pictures to friends I haven't seen in a while, and they'll be like, "Where's your bump?" And I'm like, "It's there." It sometimes hides, especially in the morning. Some days it's loud and proud out there, but most of the days he's hiding deep inside. But he's still there, kicking and moving. So this week, Connor is also the size of an eggplant, and he'll be this size for the next 2 weeks, because they can only grow so big, and I'm only 21 weeks, so he can't just keep jumping fruit sizes the entire time. I'll be massive. So for the next 2 weeks he'll be an eggplant, and then 2 to 3 weeks after that or more he'll be a certain size fruit. I think it was a papaya or something for a long time. But right now he's an eggplant, and he should be 1 pound in weight this week. His movements are more deliberate, so it's not just reflex, so he can do whatever he prefers, if he wants to suck his thumb, move, grab the placenta. His skin is translucent, and the hair on his head is white, as the blonde pigment hasn't formed yet. So that's very fascinating, but Cody was born with white hair, so he might be, or whatever hair he had was white, so he may just keep that white hair forever. Some people, the really blonde people have that white blonde hair for life, so that might very well be him with the blue eyes. I'm to the point where I'm constantly dropping food on my stomach because I'm not used to it sticking out. I drop food all the time. I'm a sticky eater, messy eater, and it just usually falls either in my lap or on the floor. but my stomach's in the way, so I've never had that before, so it falls on my stomach instead of on the floor or my lap. And my shirts are just ruined constantly, and my boobs are a little bigger, so it falls on that too. So I'm like, what in the world? I'm not used to the inside of my stomach touching my shirt either, because normally my stomach's flat and my shirts just have that gap between me and it, so it's just constantly on, and I'll catch a glimpse in the mirror and be like, whoa, reel that in, what's going on? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. But it just looks like I'm just hanging everything out, and it's like, what am I doing? I have to remind myself, oh yes, I'm pregnant, my stomach's supposed to look like that, but it's just like, whoa, reel that in, Kayla, what are you doing? Then it's like, no, I'm pregnant, that's how it's supposed to be. 2 weeks ago, he was the size of a guinea pig, I forgot to mention that. And last week, he was the size of a kitten. I don't like kittens. And this week, through week 23, he'll be the size of a Maltese puppy. And he now is 11 to 12 inches long and weighs 1 to 1.3 pounds. I'm glad we're now into the pounds instead of ounces. Sweets, he's the size of a fruit pie. That is so, like, why do they even say them? Like, what size pie? Standard pie? It can't be that big. Like, I wish they didn't use those comparisons. Last week he was the size of a large popcorn. Is that a baggy pop in the microwave that you sell at the grocery store? Is that a movie theater large? Which type of movie theater large? Whatever. And then, you know, week 19 was a stack of pancakes. That could be anything either. It's so maddening. Okay, so for this week, my uterus is expanding, is now above belly button level. Leg cramps can become common and unpleasant, especially at night, which I have not experienced. From now on, it's possible to have some leakage at any time of breast milk, which I wish they told me that earlier, because that's been happening to me since 16 weeks, and I'm very upset that no one had ever warned me about that. And apparently that's genetic as well, because that's happened to some of my cousins, and I didn't know that. So I had to reach out and realize that that was normal, and I shouldn't panic. I'm not going into labor. But no one else I've talked to has experienced that, and it does not indicate you're going to breastfeed better or worse than anyone, so it's just what my body does, especially at night. But yeah, none of the books or apps warn me that. It can start happening at 14 weeks, I read. Like, finally, like, doing some research, but at 16 weeks it started for me, so I wish it had at least warned me for that. Your lower back will start to hurt more. I haven't really noticed that as much this past week. It says, I have noticed my pelvic bones have been, they almost feel like they need to pop. It seem like they're out of sync or out of whack. And I don't know if that's from the pressure of him on them, because he's only a pound and towards the front, but it's towards the back of my pelvic region, like the two pelvic bones in the back, that are just, especially by the end of the day, they just feel like they're out of whack. I don't know how else to say it. So that'd be nice to have that fixed, but I'm not willing to go to a chiropractor because that's weird and dangerous. So I'm just gonna do stretches and hope for the best, and maybe it'll pop itself if it's supposed to. They say you're supposed to be doing pelvic floor exercises at this point, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about that. I don't know what to do, how to do. I've known people who don't do it and are fine. I've also known people who do it and don't do it and they're still not fine. So I don't know. I don't know. My family is all pregnancy unicorns. They say it's all fine. Nothing ever goes wrong, so maybe I'll be the same. People always say, at this point, you need to start putting stretch cream on your stomach or lotion or whatever, and no one in my family got that. And I'm also running small as it is, so genetically, I will not be getting stretch marks. I have varicose veins, but I've had that since I was 14, so joke's on everyone else. But I'm not planning on doing anything special to my stomach because I'm not going to be getting stretch marks. And if I do, I'll let you know, but that's not going to happen to me because my skin stretches well, I guess, genetically. I don't know. And I don't show a lot. It might be different for my second pregnancy, but I'm curious when Braxton Hicks contractions start. I'm really curious about that. Tip here says avoid high heels. Just because of the support issue with your back and the extra weight. I only need to eat an extra 200 calories a day. And the way I do, I intuitively eat. If I'm hungry, I eat. If I don't, I don't. It's always led me, it's never led me astray in my life. So that's how I prefer to live. That's what I've been doing this whole time. So I don't count. If I'm hungry, I eat. If I don't, I don't. And I just go with my hunger cues. And I try not to eat mindlessly. Since I was measuring 20 weeks and 3 days, my last ultrasound appointment, my due date is now June 13th, which if you go by my first day of my last period, it's June 12th. So I'm safe to say it's just going to be June 12th, and I'm going to give birth on June 2nd. I'm putting that out there. It'll be a little over 38 weeks. That's just what's going to happen. Here's the live model of Connor. This is not true to size. He's much bigger than this at this point. You can see that here. Yep. You can't even get all of him in the screen. It's been like that since 13 weeks. He's big. So the focus of this video is talking about, I guess, body image in pregnancy, or just kind of pregnant bodies. But I've been extremely blessed so far to be 21 weeks, and my life has really not changed physically. I don't have discomfort. I don't have aches and pains. I'm not really showing. Nobody knows. Notices that are strangers on the street. I have just been really, truly blessed of how easy this pregnancy has been. And I'm so eternally grateful, and I pray that every night. And Connor's healthy, and he's growing appropriately. Even though there's the occasional, leaking breast milk or back hurts every now and then, it's honestly, I get random things like that in normal day-to-day life, not pregnant. Same for eating. I usually eat a lot. I usually have weird cravings in normal day life. It feels like the pregnancy is just folded really well into my life. I can walk loosey. I don't have to be as careful right now with my stomach because it's past the first trimester. And honestly, life's not too different physically. It's harder to turn over in bed sometimes, but whatever. I try not to lay on my back when I sleep. That's just, to avoid him pushing on the big vein in the back of my back, which affects blood flow to me, then versus the baby. I obviously don't lay on my stomach when I sleep, never been a stomach sleeper. I like to lay on my left side, and apparently that's the best side to lay on for optimal blood flow and acid reflux issues, and that has pretty much well resolved itself as well. I've learned how to eat, when to eat to avoid that, which has been so helpful. Because that is, I don't know if anyone else has experienced that. There's almost nothing worse. And waking up choking on acid or vomit or whatever it is. But my whole life, I've never been this stick skinny person. I'm athletic. Jeans barely fit on my thighs. They're huge around my waist just because I have athletic builds. My waist is small, legs are big with muscles. I've always had, I don't have the showing collarbone, my ribs, they always show right here on the sides, but they're not pronounced. I've always been lean, but not skinny. And that's never really bothered me. Everyone wants to be skinny, but I really thrive in the fact that I'm athletic and I can do whatever I push myself to do, through unicycling, sports especially, and I've been very successful at that, especially in my high school years. So I just have to accept the fact that I wear bigger clothes than everyone else and have to wear a belt just to keep my pants up. And I'm not going to be a size 0, I'm going to be a size 12 or 14 in pants, and that's totally fine. Who knows what I'll be after pregnancy and, bouncing back and just feeling more like myself and what I will look like losing the weight. My family's never had issues with their pregnancies with that. But growing up, I always just was frustrated that, everyone else wasn't okay with that. And I don't care what other people think, but as a young, impressionable teenager, that would get to me every now and then. It's I'm happy the way I am, why is no one else? And where I did carry my fat was right in my stomach region, right where baby is, right here. This has always been where I carry my fat, and everyone in my family does too. Since I'm athletic, it's very much more pronounced, and it's not easy to hide because my frame is just there. I've got the broad shoulders, narrow hips, that frame. I think it's called a mesomorph, ectomorph. Oh, there's a athletic build it's called. I'll put the name in here. But I'm that build. So whatever I have on my body, I can't hide. But So I always would store my fat in my lower stomach. And, you know, in school they'd have us tuck our shirts in for dress code or wear certain clothes that pronounce that. And I mean, honestly, my entire life, if you really look at it in perspective of a skinny person, I look constantly like, from how I am now in pregnancy, like 3 months pregnant. That's how I always have looked in my entire life. I store fat there, and you know, if anyone didn't know any better, I could pass as being pregnant. 3 months. So, and that bothers me a little bit, but I hated that sometimes growing up. Because it's like, man, what if someone did think I was pregnant just because I ate too much, or, you know, for that meal and my stomach's poking out, or it's just there. And it would bother me, and it's like, why does God have that for me? No matter how much weight I would lose, even in high school when I lost a lot of weight, I still had a stomach there. And it's like, why? That's just where my fat goes. It might be the way I eat or however, but everyone in my family has that, and that we all eat so differently. So it's just genetic, and that's just how God has made me. So I just thought, when I get pregnant, I'm just going to blow up. I'm going to be this huge balloon. I'm just going to get fat. Everything's just going to look awful. Well, I struggled to even gain any weight. I lost 8 pounds in the beginning of my first trimester, all the way through my first trimester, well into my second. And then I finally reached like the level where I finally reached my pre-pregnancy weight. And then I finally got over that, and now 21, almost 22 weeks in, I'm finally at 13 pounds up, which is exactly where they want you to be. It's like, it took that long, and I thought I would for sure balloon up to be like one of those like Kim Kardashians that gained 60 pounds during pregnancy. And I'm just so blessed. And no one in my family gained a lot during pregnancies, and the recommended weight gains like 25 to 35 pounds, I believe, for healthy body weight beforehand. And I just assumed it was just going to be the worst. I thought I'd lose my body immediately. I wouldn't recognize myself. I'd feel out of control. I'd feel like it was taken from me, like, and it's just on its own path, nothing I can do. But it hasn't felt like that, and pregnancy has really highlighted a lot of things for my body, and has realized like, oh, this isn't just pregnancy, it's because it's my body. This is how my body is. This is really cool. Like the way I've adapted to my eating. I eat so much more, but I hardly gain weight, especially being pregnant, where you're supposed to gain weight and you gain weight from the baby. So it's just really neat to see like, okay, all this time, you know, wonder it's hard for me to ever lose weight, because I can eat as much as I want or as little as I want, and I'm still going to be where my body wants it to be, you know, unless you take, you know, extreme drastic measures. And I think pregnancy has corrected my metabolism. I am so grateful. I can finally eat what I want and need and not gain outrageous weight, because beforehand I'd, you know, gain my face. My face was so much chunkier outside of pregnancy than I am in pregnancy. And that's just been a blessing to even uncover, that pregnancy has allowed me to do. I would never have known otherwise. That, you know, I can look differently, and my body can do, like, I can recover, I can have my metabolism fixed. And because I think it's been damaged over the years of trying to restrict, trying to do this, trying to force my body into a mold it's not comfortable with. And now with pregnancy, I can, you know, eat whatever I want within reason, and eat as much as I want within reason. And I don't gain the outrageous weights that I would have beforehand, because my metabolism was so messed up. And I know that's a controversial topic, but I mean, before I would literally eat half what I'm eating now and gain just outrageous weight constantly. And that was the truth for about a year and a half ago, like after the miscarriage. Like, it was just awful, and I just couldn't understand why. So I'd restrict and eat a lot less, and I wouldn't lose weight. And it's like, okay, my body just, it needed a reset. It needed to be fixed, and the blessing of pregnancy has done that for me. And I'm very hopeful and excited what will happen after I give birth. And, you know, I'm not expecting to bounce back or snap back or whatever it is, you know, 6 weeks after. You know, they say you lose 15 pounds immediately. That's just from birth, the baby, everything. And that should, in theory, leave me like 10 pounds left to lose. And I want to get a little below my pre-pregnancy weight to be comfortable and get ready for the next pregnancy, you know, a year later. But I've just been so blessed to have had this, to be able to experience pregnancy, uncover all these different truths in my whole life, and realize like my biggest anger of my body was my, you know, the fat I stored in my stomach is actually a blessing, because now I can look pregnant all the time, and I'm only gaining and growing where my stomach is, where it normally, you know, is protruding and showing, and where I store my fat. So it's supposed to look like that now, and everywhere else has lost fat because that's where the baby has pulled, and I only look pregnant right there. An absolute blessing that is. I never expected. So I mean, I'm so grateful my body is like that now. And I look great everywhere else. I haven't ballooned up, and I know I'm only 21 and 22 weeks, but like, this is where I am, and this is where I always was so upset right here in my body, because it just looked so forever, and no matter what I did, and it always held me back, I felt like. And in pregnancy, that's only where I'm showing us, only where the baby is. That's where the fat's going. That's where, or that's where the baby is. That's where growth is happening, and it's a miracle in itself. And my bump isn't growing outrageously either. Like, I knew all those ab workouts, and a religious fitness person my whole life, where every day or every other day I'll do a workout video, and I'm always trying to better my body, keep my physical fitness up. I enjoy workouts, I enjoy exercise, how it makes me feel, and I never had the strong core to show for it, ever. I've always got that fat on the outside, so it never looks like I am athletic in that area. But and I knew, like, underneath it, I have such a strong core, and it never would show, and it was all for nothing. And it made me so irritated. So that was the worst part of it all. Not just how it looked, but how I just never had that fitness stomach to show for all the ab work and core work I do. And my workout videos, just naturally that would be giving that strength. So, and this pregnancy, with really fit people, when they get pregnant, they don't show for a long time, because those ab muscles are so strong and so tight that it holds the baby and holds everything in until it just can't anymore. And with me, I was like, well, it's just going to be like a pool of jello. I'm just going to just be like, look, 9 months pregnant at 2 months pregnant. That was always my biggest concern, and just that panic of not being able to control it and just being stuck like that with nothing you can do. But with my strong core underneath that small layer of fat, the small layer of fat has allowed me to look pregnant from almost the start of pregnancy, slightly, but that's as far as it goes, because those ab muscles I've built for so many years of hard work under that layer of fat are there. They are there, and that's what's holding him in. That's why I'm so small. I know it's my first pregnancy to this term, but still, that's why I'm so small and so fit, and so it looks so in shape, because those muscles are there, and they finally are put to actual good use that can be useful and visible, and that's what's holding Connor in and making me look so good during this pregnancy. And I still have that little pooch there, which is pregnancy from the fat that was already there. And I may have looked pregnant at 5 weeks or 4 weeks when I found out, but I haven't looked much pregnant more since then. 21 weeks passed. Like, how incredible. All my hard work of all the years from when I was literally like 12 doing all this has finally paid off, and I am grateful. Like, those strong core muscles are keeping him strong together. I don't have diastasis recti yet, which is the separation of ab muscles. I look great. All my clothes still fit. Like, I'm just thrilled that my bump is small still, he's healthy, my abs are able to actually do what they're supposed to do, because that also helps support your back and back aches, which I haven't had as many back aches as the normal pregnant person. I hope that continues on as I continue my pregnancy workouts as well, too, to keep supporting that. But as long as I can remember, I've had a weak pelvic floor, so I feel like no matter what I do, I'll still have a weak pelvic floor. I'll work on that, but I'm just almost in tears in awe of just the blessings that have come from this pregnancy, through fixing my metabolism, helping the way I'm eating what I need, my body healing, not showing as much in pregnancy, my stomach being secure and safe, helping my back pain by having that strong core, reaping the benefits of always having that little pooch in my stomach of fat, and a strong core underneath it to be able to hold him safe and hold him in, and help my stomach with diastasis recti. So I'm just grateful, and I just want to talk about that. And after pregnancy, I'm sure I'll always have that layer of fat outside of my stomach, but I plan to use this knowledge to grow and to help continue heal my body after pregnancy, through my metabolism, through eating, through working out, and just feeling back to myself again. To maybe this is such a blessing. Maybe I'll even feel and look better after pregnancy than I did before pregnancy all these years. I'm very excited, very hopeful, and I'm excited to see this journey. And they say breastfeeding helps with, burning calories as well, but just all my worries and fears have been answered, and I'm so grateful. And all the prayers, and then that's not the reason I didn't want to get pregnant by any means, but it was always in the back of my mind, like, once I get pregnant, this is all going to happen, and it's going to be awful, and it's just all your worst fears are going to come true. But I'm very excited. But enough about that. I'm just wanting to share that and just the blessings that have come to surface with this pregnancy about my body and how I've felt about myself. So thank you for tagging along. Stick around for week 22. I'm excited. I'm like 3 weeks away from my next doctor's appointment where they just listen with a Doppler and just measure the fundal height from pubic bone to top of my belly in centimeters, however many centimeters is how many weeks you are. And then they just check on me, my weight, blood pressure, everything like that once a month until later on, then more. But thank you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye! Everyone, my Valentine's Day outfit that I'll be wearing next weekend for Valentine's Day. I usually go to Bonefish Grill every Valentine's Day and anniversaries, and then like J. Alexander's for like really special occasions like before we give birth. That's what we'll do. But anyway, here's my Bonefish Grill outfit, and I'll be wearing some nicer pants. Kiddo. 21-week bump date, which remember is like 22 weeks actually, but for video's sake, 21 weeks. Look at that, little Connor. I like having the definition there. Still, it's like normal from here until about right here down, especially belly button down. Look at that.